soon as I can. Try not to kill each other while I'm gone.
Oxygen levels at 20%.
Dad?
Dad? Hello?
Mom, we haven't seen a living thing in 3 years.
The world can heal if we give it time. We just gotta keep at it.
Come on. Hello!
Oxygen supply at 50%.
Who the hell are you?
I know your husband was working on the O2 generator. I need to replicate it.
If she could replicate Dad's invention, we could be onto something big, Mom.
Our air filtration system is failing. We don't get back. 25 people will die. But I need to see that machine, and I will see it one way or the other.
We gotta stop her.
You're making a mistake. I'm not your enemy.
If I cut off their air, they're gonna die in there. Think about your daughter and do the right thing.
Try it!
We're in this together, right?
We're in this together.
Boom, there you go. That was a trailer for Breathe, as you see behind me, and you clicked on this review. It's your boy KP. Nerds rule the world. Breathe opens in theaters as well as digital on Friday, April 26th. Let's get into it, y'all. I know I'm weird on the energy right now, but it's your boy KP. Heather Hurts. Maybe I need to take a breath. Or maybe I should breathe. I don't know. Weirdisms with me. I'm off today, y'all. But I want to talk all things Breathe. We had the opportunity to talk with the director, Stefon Bristol. You can see that interview on the channel right now. Such a great time not talking to him. He's done quite a few amazing projects that led to Breathe and will be leading to other projects as well. Good time talking to him. But the biggest thing I really enjoyed talking to him about is representation and in this and on the screen and giving us black sci-fi, and that's what he gave us with Breathe. This film stars Jennifer Hudson as well as Milla Jovovich, Quvenzhané Wallis, and I'm sorry I'm brutalizing her name, Common, Sam Worthington, in a role that to me is the most different I've ever seen him play on the screen, which was great to see him do something different. So Breathe is a post-apocalyptic story. It's essentially where I think we're heading to, which is very scary. If you've watched the channel, Heather and I are very worried about the environment. We're worried about what we are doing in the world. And so with that being said, this is like our worst fears come to life. We have, the world kind of just losing itself. We're losing the water, the air, everything is different. Luckily enough, in this period of in this fictional story, we have a guy, Common, who's a scientist who comes up with a way to kind of preserve things. He builds kind of like this bunker to take care of his family, played by Jennifer Hudson, as well as Quvenzhané Wallis. Man, I'm messing up her name. So to survive in this post-apocalyptic time. The film opens in this time period, and they're surviving. I believe the father is still around. Is it the father or father-in-law, Heather? I don't remember. Is with the family. They're going looking for supplies, but then all of a sudden the father falls, hurts himself. Common tries to take care of the father, and it doesn't turn out good. So we then see him going back to the family saying we need to properly bury him, but then that will also take him away from the family, and that may not be a good thing. And that just leads into a whole bunch of other different elements of this family trying to survive. And then all of a sudden there's other survivors that want to get into this area that they're at because they want to be able to take the information and of how they are able to kind of have plants growing just to figure out like scientific methods to help other folks. So it's a weird, wild story, not exactly weird, but it's a thriller, sci-fi thriller with this black family, which is beautiful because we don't get a lot of black families in sci-fi, or at least they get killed off at the very front end, and just like in horror films, which is just that's a whole nother story for y'all that just bothers me. But it was great to see this representation and good to see this story, because beyond just being, them being black family, it's just a family that I think we can all relate to, trying to survive. And would you make these certain choices when you're living in this situation? That's kind of like a brief synopsis with, hopefully I didn't spoil too much of the story. But if I can, let me throw it to Heather to talk about the cast a little bit that we have in here.
Sure. Once again, we have Jennifer Hudson, which, by the way, we do not have nearly much. I love Milla Jovovich. If you are a sci-fi / horror fan, you will love Milla Jovovich. That's who she is. And I love her as Tess. But Jennifer Hudson, why don't we have her and
you're gonna mess up the name too.
Honey Bunches of Oats. I am just gonna say Miss Wallis because Honey Bunch. I'm going to screw it up. I am a white woman and I accept my flaws. So I'm sorry, Miss Wallis, who plays our wonderful Zora. There are not enough pictures of these two. That one, or wherever Kuyupi is on, by his shoulder. This is a story about a family of color who did what they needed to survive, and for some reason, Milla Jovovich's face is everywhere. So. Production companies do better with your marketing. But what you have is Miss Wallis playing Zara, who is this Brainiac child, the daughter of a Brainiac person who is Darius, played by Common. And then you have these kind of other very short-lived characters. But Sam Worthington as Lucas is kind of this surprise. Worthington as a total, he's kind of got a very diverse background when it comes to acting, but this is honestly one of the creepiest and most interesting roles I think I've ever seen him in. And he plays let's call him a bodyguard. Without getting too much into it, because if you basically say anything else, it's going to be a spoiler. But so he's basically a bodyguard for Milla Jovovich's character Tess. Tess is another scientist who believes who says she has worked with Darius in the past, and she wants to replicate this CO2 machine that Darius created to keep his family alive. A series of other things happen, and that is where we are, and that is the cast.
All right, thank you, Heather. So, story. We'll get into that in our thoughts. Well, we already said the story. We said the characters. Overall, I thought this was an interesting film. I liked it because it's something we don't really get to see a lot. We don't get to see black families and in these kind of dystopian type of periods where they're like the main characters and the leads, and then surviving and being successful scientists and all of that. I will say though, there are points where J-Hud is, this mom with Zora, Miss Wallis. I'm gonna say Miss Wallis, so I like that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Both again were amazing actors, but like I knew they had to be cracking up in certain, because just some of the language, the script was just weird. I don't know. It worked, but at the same time, like J-Hud has to be this mom, and then there's these people coming in. Like it felt. I don't know if I should be laughing in certain instances, like that the dialogue was just weird, but and that's what was one of the biggest takeaways from this, that I would have been laughing on set. Like I don't know how they get together, because it's just some of the situations where they're dealing with Milla and some of the other characters. Like I don't know, it was just I was laughing, and I don't know if it was meant to be a laughable point when I shouldn't have been laughing, but. It was a very interesting ride. I think they played well as characters. I think just because of the situation, like they are in this like facility that like no one can break in, but yet like the daughter, like, man, let me help these people, and so there's a mother-daughter thing that happens there. I think because they're POC families, there's just certain things we don't do, but I think because if they didn't do it, then we wouldn't even have a film. So it just was just a weird scenario. Like I think they needed to make that transition storyline wise to make it make more sense that this daughter would go up against her mother for these situations. But I also put myself to like, if I were in this situation and you're getting tired of like living in this time, so maybe your opinions change and you go up against your family because you want to see if there's more out there. But it was just, I felt like I should have been laughing in spots and the parts that just didn't make any sense. But overall, I enjoyed my time with it. It was okay, but not great. Yeah, I guess was my review of this film. Sam Worthington was again, I was just pointed out earlier, great to see him do something different because we really haven't seen him do a role like this. So that was cool. I don't know if I like it though. I have to say that it was cool to see him do different, but I don't know if it was a good execution because I don't know if it was believable enough for me. Comment I wish I had more time with, but you're supposed to, it sets the tone for the rest of the story. But overall, it's something I'd watch on cable TV. I think I would have been upset if I went to the theater to see this. I would have expected something a little bit more more effects, more building out of this time period that they're going through. I don't think we got enough of that, but that might also have been limited budget. They worked with what they got. What are your thoughts, Heather?
So, so this was supposed to be an allegory for a lot of the oppression that people of color felt. A person of color should have written that. I'm just going to put that out there. But at the same time, I understand, especially after you watch the trailer, this was nothing like the trailer. The trailer made it seem like this was going to be kind of a fast-paced, high-intensity kind of situation, and it wasn't. This was really a low-speed, high-emergency, but a carefully drawn-out story about a family that was just trying to protect their own, and not just their own, not just each other, but their own technologies, their own home, and a whole bunch of stuff. With that being said, the pacing for this movie is long. This is a long movie, which is kind of funny because we actually just talked about a movie where the pacing almost felt too quick. Go watch our Boy Kills World review. And then we have this one, which I think I would have loved this movie as a short film. As a 30 to 45 minute film that was once again an allegory of how families, people of color are being treated and have been treated throughout history. I think this would have been a great film at 30 to 45 minutes. The fact that they tried to turn this into a full-length science fiction film was boring. It was a very boring, weirdly paced film. And I felt like there is so much potential in this movie that was lost.
Yeah.
Because it was 2 hours long.
You know what? Heather hit it on the head. Like, yeah, I was doing other things as I was watching this. I'm not gonna lie. So let me be brutally honest there. So that's what made it kind of work in different ways, but also it didn't work. And I think Heather hit the nail on the head of all the points that just made it difficult for me. And you're right. Doug Simon is the writer on this. He is not a person of color. I think also with stories, you should be able to inject any different kind of character. Like, so like they made a choice to go with to make this a black family in this time period. But I think it's so narrow that it could have been interchangeable. So that's why they did do that. Mm-hmm. Let's get that, which is great. But then I think to Heather's point, while things should be interchangeable, we should be able to, as people of color, we should be able to play anything. There's a certain way we carry ourselves within those communities that should have been made to twist the story up a little bit in how they would react in a certain situation. And that was, like I said, what made it somewhat laughable to me in different parts. But yeah, I wanted to like it more. I would have liked it maybe shorter because there's parts, again, like you said, Heather, that just they really dragged it. Like they should have cut off here. It could have been a lot tighter and would have made it such a stronger film. It's just sad. I think that it had a good cast. I think they had elements there. I don't think it concluded as well as it should have been.
And to be fair, just to say this out, because yes, as QP did mention, the entire point is anyone can do anything at any point, and that's where we will stop talking about things like race, about the LGBTQIA community, when that is integrated into the regular frame of mind. When it is just commonplace and anyone can do anything, we will stop talking about it because it'll be in the zeitgeist. But with that being said, and this is just to throw us out here, as someone who is a person of color, QP, what one element to ask yourself is, this is in a not so distant future. This is in this is in the future, but not so distant. Maybe things are better racially. Just crossing all the fingers and toes. Maybe things are a little bit different. Maybe people are changing how they talk, how they react. And here's one of the big things that we were hoping to do with us making environmental changes. Hopefully situations like this don't have to happen, where language and where hope and where everything doesn't change or doesn't have to change. So here's the thing. Maybe this could be maybe they could change, because she hasn't seen anyone in 3 years. So to your point, maybe some of the strange elements that didn't contextualize are just because this is in a future that we're hoping to never see.
Agree. I feel that. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree on that. Outside of that, one of the notions that, having watched this film and its concept, and now that you've seen it, Heather, I'm curious, if you were in this scenario,
no,
would you allow these people in? Like, would you, like, girls, daughter? No. Like, what would you think in this whole scenario? Do you think, how would you take or survive? What would you make the same choices? Is something I'm curious about.
To be quite honest, I am a white woman, so I'd probably already be dead.
Heather.
In this situation, I don't know. This is definitely a hard one, and it's I think it's also different when you have kids versus when you don't. I don't have children. I don't have to have that concern. So I have a lot less going for me if I let somebody in. What's probably going to happen? I'm probably going to get shot. That's really it. But the thing is I also wouldn't have that responsibility to protect someone else. Versus that's gonna be a very different situation with you.
Yeah. Shutting it down. Outside of that, we don't get on our soapbox here, as you know. But this is a future that we're very afraid of. Do you think they've succeeded in its message of, maybe kind of pointing that this could become a reality, and at the end, maybe how we can survive, or just did you think their job in that regard, in regards to making aware of kind of like this world issue of where the future can go, and how we can solve things down the road?
Unfortunately, no. And I think that goes back to your point of, we didn't get enough of what happened.
Yeah.
We literally start and the world is already gone. We have a couple of flashbacks, but that's it. And then at the end, there's a really sweet message at the end. And that's why I also think that this would have just done so much better as like a 30 to 45 minute short, because you could have added very specific elements into a short film about the environment, about what we can do. Because what they are trying to do in all is they are trying to bring back life. That's what they want. And the way to do that is to preempt it versus doing it on the rear end. And that's what happened. It's people were too late. So unfortunately, I don't think it got the message out correctly. But it's clearly an element. And what do we need to do? We just need to make sure we're planting trees. We need oxygen. We need trees. We need life. We need that to happen. You want meat? We need grass. You want oxygen? We need trees. You want to stop forest fires? We need more trees, because they stop up the CO2 that keeps forest fires from spreading. That seems counterproductive, but it's true. So when it comes down to it, go check out some initiatives that are protecting trees and that are planting trees, like One Tree Planted. They're a great organization, and you can just plant a tree.
I fully agree. I love that. We're going to end it right there. I think that message is so important for Breathe. Yeah. I don't know. Check it out. Again, don't take our word for it. We will give our opinion, but again, you should formulate your own opinion. I loved it for its representation, although, this is also showing that you can put representation in there, but also all elements need to align for it to fully be a full representation, if you will. But this was also very interesting to take a look at sci-fi and into the thoughts of, like we're saying, environmentally, where we could head if we don't do something about it. I like seeing films like this, so that way we can spark a change. And to end it off, like you said, Heather, if you can learn in these other ways and take this message to do other things, go plant a tree, and hopefully just it's these little baby steps that can create a world of difference. So there you go. Heather Hurt, your boy QP. Nerds Rule the World, Breathe is in theaters as well as digital on April 26th. If you want to talk all things Breathe, hit us up in the comments. Breathe in the comments. Let us know. Let's go. And check out the interview with Stefon Bristol. And just a birdie told me that I might have an interview with Miss Wallis. I'm not going to say her first name. I'll probably be very careful in that interview. As of this recording, I'll be recording it later. So check out that interview with Miss Wallis. There you go. Your boy QP, Heather Hurt, we out.